Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Tuesday, November the 11th, 2025. And I'll say welcome, Sally. And, and I'm going to start today. Actually, Michael's picking up our Canadian ladies that are coming in for the Quantum StillPoint and then staying for the intensive. So I'm not sure that he'll pop in, but I'm going to start today by saying, today is what's called Veterans Day. And, it's the significance of it on November the 11th in 1918, there was the Armistice that ended World War I. The holiday originated as Armistice Day to commemorate the end of the war. And the date, it was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In 1954, the name was changed to Veterans Day to honor all veterans of all U.S. wars. And so for all of our veterans out there, we want to just say thank you for your service and all that you and your families have had to endure. And we are appreciative of that. So, Susan Bingham was going to pop in and assist me here. And so she'll be on here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, Sally, how are you doing? Kathy, welcome. And maybe you're not in a place where you can. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Yeah, hi. Oh, I'm not in a place where I can chat yet, but thank you so much for that intro with the meaning and history of Armistice Day. It's also my brother's birthday, and
Aw,
it's always had a lot of meaning for me. And uh, what a great kickoff! I just want to celebrate you, Jeanie, for your
thank
new
you.
book out, and I'm I don't think I've ever been so excited about seeing somebody as I am about seeing you and the mystery of souls that will be present with us at this coming intensive. So I'm grateful for you in every way.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Miss Susan, how are you doing?
Hi, Jeanie. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Thank
Good.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on your own. You're soloing today.
Yeah. He may pop in, but
Yeah,
when I talked to him a few minutes ago, he was at the airport and the ladies were there. So he was loading them up and going to bring them back to Bristol and
loading them up.
yeah, and get them settled. I'm not sure they've been traveling since Monday morning and they
Wow.
had several layovers. And so it's taken them a bit to get here from the west coast of Canada. So,
And all the weird airline stuff. Of course, if it originated in Canada, maybe they're not having airline shutdowns the way we are here.
yeah, I talked to him, or Michael talked to him a couple of times when they've had layovers and asked them, if they'd had any problems or any delays or anything like that. And they said no, it'd been, smooth. Of course, they'd had I think one of their layovers was like 4 or 5 hours. So,
Wow. Is
yeah,
that Andrea and Susan F?
yes.
Anybody?
And another lady named Anita, and she's
Okay.
not been on any of our shows or whatever, but all three of them are friends
Mhm.
up there in the west of Canada. And
Wow.
yeah, so they rented a house here in Bristol and they're going to be doing 3 days of Quantum Steel Point and then the intensive starts on Friday. So
Wow.
yeah,
You're going to be involved in that?
I
Yeah.
will. Actually, Ryan and Gabby rearranged everything because I told them, I said, with Michael being with the women doing the quantum, I don't have a car. I couldn't drive if I did have it
Right.
here. And then being able to handle Lincoln on my own, getting up and down steps and everything. So they've rearranged everything. So we don't see the children again until the 24th when the intensive is over.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you're going to live where you are. There at the hotel or
Yeah,
How-
they're at they rented a Airbnb. It's actually a historical site. It's a an old house that was built in like the 1800s, and
Mm-hmm.
Michael went over there yesterday to take water and different things to set up for the ladies and the massage table and stuff.
Nice.
And he said that it's all decorated in the historical style as well. And
Nice.
so, yeah, he said he thought that they would like it. And but then I'm going with them to the intensive, so I'll be there. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Urate asked me yesterday. We've been talking to her off and on for the last couple of weeks, getting things organized for food and all that. And she said, she said, "Why do you have to do something dramatic before every intensive?" Because the last intensive in May was right after I'd had my colon resection, and so I said, "Well, I
God.
don't know." I said, "Maybe it's to get out of the kitchen." I
Yeah, maybe, but oh,
don't know. I'll have to
wow.
look at that.
So the intensive is not at the Airbnb though. It's a different,
No, yeah,
yeah.
we rented, there's a place, it's actually where we had the intensive in May, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
nice. It's owned by the Catholic Church, and
Mm-hmm.
actually the church and the retreat center share the parking lot.
Oh,
And but
nice.
it's really nice. It's set up like one building is more or less like a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think they have two buildings, but we're all in one. And there's like 8 rooms on each floor, and so they can accommodate quite a few people. And then the building, the conference building, they have a really nice big great room with a fireplace
Wow.
and everything. They have a labyrinth outside if it ever gets warm enough to go out there
Mm,
and walk. We had our
yeah.
first snow last night,
Oh,
and
you
it's
did?
actually,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's just 33 degrees right now at 1 o'clock, so
Mm-hmm.
it's chilly. But
It is. We're
and then they
cold
have
up
a
here
really
too.
nice dining hall, which is where we set up for a lot of our classes. And
Mm-hmm.
then they have a really nice, like a commercial type kitchen. So Urate's at home in there. And since she was
Oh,
there in
good.
May, she knows how to set it up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how many days is this?
9 days. It
That's
starts
what I thought.
Friday and it
Oh
ends
my
the next
God.
Saturday.
Are you going to try to do the radio show?
Well, actually, I've got a gentleman lined up, and I gave him links to YouTube videos. And I said, if we can't, I said, would you start Zoom and then just play a video? And he said, yes, he
Yeah.
would.
Oh,
So if
good.
there are days that we can get the show in between classes and lunch or
That's
whatever,
a lot.
then, yeah, it is. Then we'll do it live, but that might be
Oh.
pushing it a little bit. So he's prepared to play shows all next week.
Mm-hmm. Wow, a lot of organizing.
Yeah, yeah. And I was having a challenge with, we have distilled water delivered here in 5 gallon
Oh, yeah.
containers, and we have a
Uh-huh.
machine, that pumps it. And so I had asked them, for the next delivery, which is this coming Thursday, I said, can you deliver it to the Jubilee House so we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to pick up 6 5 gallon containers and haul them? And at
Mm-hmm.
first they said yes. And this morning I talked to 4 different people, and they're not going to do it. They're going to deliver it here. So we'll have to take it down there.
Oh,
But
that's a
Urate's
drive.
supposed to arrive today, and
Mm-hmm.
she's going to take some stuff by there and put in the freezer and refrigerator. Then she's going to go visit a friend that lives in North Carolina, and she'll be back
Wow.
tomorrow then to start setting up the kitchen. So,
Good for her. That's
yeah.
such a
And then
big
I think
deal.
her husband's going to join either Sunday or Monday and help her in the kitchen. He was with us last time. So,
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
him. That's Tom. Isn't that Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to come. He had plans with his daughter or something for the weekend, and so
Mm-hmm.
he's going to come either Sunday night or Monday and help Urate in the kitchen. And of course, everybody that's in the intensive, we create teams. If 2 people go in the kitchen and assist at different meal
Good.
times,
That's
and that way
good.
they get to learn the food, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps her too. But
Of
she's such a great
course.
teacher, so.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so everybody's been given an
Mm.
assigned time on each day, and so she'll have help so that way she can be in the intensive as well.
Mm. That's so good.
Yeah. And Michael's going to teach the energy field work, which he doesn't normally do in the intuitive development. And it's the hands-on while someone's breathing, that we do the energy work on them while they're breathing. So he's going to teach that. And he's hoping that we have 2, maybe even 3 breath sessions during the 9 days. And
You mean like the still point you're doing?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. One of the big things that I got out of when we did intuitive development, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2017 or something like that. We were on Oak Island, right on the beach. And Ari was there because he was my partner. And I'm probably letting this out of the bag for you, Sally Ramsey. But one of the exercises was we sat in front of our partner, closed our eyes, and they asked us a simple question: who are you? And they did that over and over and over again for like 10 minutes, and after a while you're like, well, I'm Jeanie, I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and then you finally get down to I'm a being, I'm love, or whatever. And so you're naming who are you? And then they ask a second question and they're writing your answers down. So you're just sitting there with your eyes closed, being with it. And the second one is, why are you here?
Delicious questions.
Yeah. And so out of those 2, I actually rewrote my purpose statement.
Wow, Jeanie.
Yeah, because my original purpose statement was, and I think part of me was, okay, I want to support Michael. Sorry about the doorbell ringing there. Let me turn that down. Apologies. I was like, I want to support him. I want to do this work. I want to teach, and things like that. But after I did this exercise and looked back at the list, most of the things were like family, like, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm, a wife. And I didn't have anything about family in my purpose statement.
Wow.
And so I rewrote it, and let's see, I'll just bring it up real quick if I can.
Yeah, that would be, if you can stand reading it unless you have other things, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. It's, let me find it here real quick. It's on the website. Michael's is also on the website. But, so I totally rewrote my purpose statement. And, we talk about if you are, and this is, everybody has the same primary purpose,
right,
which is to create a viable spiritual being, to do what you need to do to build that spiritual being. And then we all have a secondary purpose, and that's why are we here on this planet. It's not just to punch a time clock, but we have a purpose for being put here. And Michael gives the example of a guy, I don't remember if it was he followed Ram Dass, but he used to be a banker like over the loans or something at a bank. And then he started learning from Ram Dass and started following him. He quit the bank and all that. And a few years later, he was on the street and he bumped into the owner or the manager or whatever of the bank. And they said, we'd love to have you come back. And he said, okay, I will. And he went back and he was doing the same job, but with a different purpose.
Right.
Instead of being there to try to make the bank money or whatever, he was there to assist people who needed help getting a loan. So he was according to his purpose, but doing the same job. And so when we're on purpose, we will have more satisfaction about what we're doing. And, I'll say at first, with my other purpose statement, and, we were on the road for 15 years and, traveling all the time, 6 to 9 months of the year or whatever. We were always sleeping in someone else's house or a hotel or something, and teaching. And, teaching and delivering this work is absolutely Michael's purpose. But part of me felt, like I really want to settle somewhere.
Yeah.
And when we were at Heartland, it was so much work, and I'm just being open and honest. You know, we would get there before the intensive started. And of course, we had to open all the buildings, turn on all the water. We had to, you know, clean, deep clean because the buildings had been empty for 10 months or whatever.
Mhm.
And it was just a lot of work just
Mhm.
prepping for people to show up. And so it was like, I never really felt at home there because it was
Mhm.
so much work.
Yeah.
And, but after I changed my purpose statement, it was shortly after that. I think that was in 2016, 2017. And mom passed away in 2017. And then dad got sick the first of 2018. He got dementia, Parkinson's, and he needed assistance. Well, if I had still been working on the old purpose statement of that I needed to travel and take the work out everywhere, I would have probably felt guilty or uneasy or whatever about
Mm.
coming back home to take care of dad. But here's my new purpose statement. I now use my deep devotion to my family and friends to be supportive. Enjoy time together, listening and sharing. I will nourish and comfort others as I create a safe space for healing to happen. I will use my writing ability to produce a book that shares my experiences of healing and expresses the potential and hope to others. I'll stop there for a second and just say, so if I wrote this in like 2017, you see how long it took for me to actually start writing that book.
Yeah, that's okay.
I now use my love for learning to search for truth and then use my teaching skills to share my highest understanding with those whose paths I cross. I now use my intuition, my inner tutor, to follow in the way of peace. I will stay committed, fully aware, responsible, and connected to God. I will radiate the love in me to be a clear voice to my calling, so that my life produces a longing in others to follow in the way of truth, to join me on the path, to likewise make a difference. I will use my organizational and administrative skills in accord with this purpose, to have such an impact on this planet that we create the shift where we all experience our being, love, and live in truth and harmony as God originally planned. So that's in total alignment, you know, when we moved in to take care of dad and then Aria arrived and you know, we've been here to support Ryan and Gabby and the children. And of course, dad's passed away now, but I was at total peace about doing all of this change. I was concerned that Michael would feel like he wasn't following his purpose, you know, but he agreed to move back here and take care of dad, and
And
things
then
have
the
been different.
pandemic came in there.
Yeah, yeah. We moved in here in um
And that is your parents' home, right?
yeah, it's actually the home we moved here when I was 11 years old. And
So, okay, so
yeah,
that's something in your book that I could, if I get it straight, because you're talking about growing up on the farm and then suddenly your dad is working a job and he's going back to the farm
yeah,
because,
what he did is we moved here to Bristol
yeah.
and set up, you know, home here. But
Mhm.
he had his family's farm, and of course, grandma and granddad were still living back
Yeah.
then. And when they passed, a big part of the farm was left to my dad. And
Mhm.
so he would go back, you know, he would be here during the week doing his
Mhm.
job as a tax, wasn't a tax collector, but he worked for the
Assessor,
tax
I thought you
department. He
said.
was an auditor.
Oh,
And
auditor. Okay.
And so that was real hard because, you know, dad was like, even at the church when he was head of the deacons at the church here, and he helped count the offerings and all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it couldn't be off a penny. I mean, dad would go back and back and back until he
Uh,
found and everything balanced. And then to
mhm.
see him after he got dementia, and, you know, he knew who I was all the way to the end. But some days it'd be like, oh, when did you get here? You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've been here for 3 years, but
Oh my
um,
God.
so he always
Oh.
knew who I was, but he couldn't
Mhm.
remember a lot of things. And to see him go from being the accountant mind
Mhm.
to not having much of a mind, being more like a child,
Mm-hmm.
And that was challenging.
I
And
bet.
you know, it's but Michael was totally willing to, you know, settle in here and take care of Dad. And then I thought, well, after Dad passed, you know, we might go back on the road. But Michael will even tell you, I like laying my head down in the same place every night.
Oh, yeah. I can
And
understand that.
and then he got into the gardening and stuff. And I told him he was close to being a farmer, and I didn't want to be a farmer. I was okay with
Yeah.
being a gardener, but
Yeah,
it was
that's
like
it.
it just kept growing, and it's like beyond control. But
Isn't
anyway,
it interesting that the Zoom capabilities and the radio
yeah,
conference call capabilities
yeah,
allowed him and you to keep doing his purpose, but
yeah.
not have to move around?
Right, exactly. Now he did
Amazing.
go back to Heartland in 2019 by
I
himself,
know.
and it
I
was
miss
like
you.
he was like, "That's a lot of work," you know. And it's like,
It
okay,
is.
so now you know.
That's one reason I always rib him about meeting in 4949. First of all, Heartland was sort of fraying around the edges even back then. And it was
Yeah,
a lot of work. And I thought, well, maybe our bodies might make it, but will Heartland itself survive? Will the Billings not be just, who
yeah.
knows? Anyway, I give him a hard time about that.
And he loves it. He likes to, you know, kibitz back and forth. So,
Well, he's making his point. I get his point, but, and it's funny because he really pushes the envelope there.
yeah. And, you know, he makes a good point too that, you know, if he's right and we are eternal in these bodies, you know, what have we lost by doing our work? Nothing. We
Oh,
gained
yeah,
peace
right.
and all of that. If
Hmm.
he's, you know, if he's wrong, we've still lived an awesome life,
Oh, yeah.
you know. So either way, it's, you know, whether, and he says, I'm not sure, this may not be his exact wording, but, you know, he says, even if I don't make it, it doesn't mean that it's not true.
Yeah. No, I
And
remember asking him at one point, well, how are you doing on this? There was a
yeah.
pause, and he very honestly said, I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we see things like, you know, our hair's turned gray and things like that. And so it's like
Yeah,
the body definitely changes.
it this definitely does.
But who knows? And, you know, and I know that there is, you know, who knows what afterlife is like, you know, if we choose to leave this body. But I
Hmm.
know when Dad passed, you know, he had gotten to the point where he was in diapers and he couldn't sit up. He couldn't move from his bed to his chair. It took two people because, you know, even though Dad wasn't but about 170 pounds, he couldn't help you in any way. So it was like lifting a ton.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And so he had gotten to where he wasn't doing anything on his own except he could lift his fork to his mouth and feed himself.
Hmm.
But the day that he died, he sat straight up in bed on his own and looked up in the left corner of the room and then just took a deep breath and then just laid down and was gone. And it was
Wow.
like, you know, they say in scriptures, you know, to be absent from the bodies, to be present with the Lord. I
Hmm.
don't know if it was the Lord or mom or, you know, I don't know, but he
Came to
saw
get him,
somebody and he was absolutely somewhere else before he left his body.
and that's something. I know
And, you
there's
know,
a
they were
movie.
going to bring him back. And it's like, why would you bring him back to a body that hasn't cooperated in over a year?
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, he's already there. I said, I watched him leave. And
Uh-huh.
so it was amazing.
So did you have EMTs showing up to try to resuscitate him?
No, actually, he had gotten choked and
Oh,
he had been taken to the hospital.
oh,
So
I
the
see.
last week of his life, he was at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And so when he, you know, when the alarms went off that, you know, he had
Yeah,
whatever, then they come running in with the crash cart. And it's like,
I
no,
know.
you know,
No, good for
leaving.
you.
Yeah. Plus, I'm
Oh,
not sure
So,
his body at that time could have handled them doing all the pumping and
yeah.
stuff, you know, but there
so,
was just no
so, so, Jeannie, I have a question.
go for it, Carrie.
about the immortality, physical immortality part.
Uh-huh.
And I remember talking to Michael many years ago when I was working with Sandra Ray on her breath work, training on her breath work thing. And she was very much into physical immortality, and she would talk about the immortals that are among us, that there are immortals among us. And I remember Michael said to me, boy, you know, that sounds like attachment to your body. You know, why would you want to have that attachment to your body? And I said, well, I think the value of it might be not so much the attachment to the body, but the fact that on one level, if we reincarnate, we feel like we have to start over, or we have a different path where we're, you know, will I even remember that there is such a thing as the Course in Miracles, or that, you know, I've done some of this work before. So, you know, I think the value is that we can continue our journey in a more transcendent way if we're living longer. I think that with that conscious awareness of this ego and this mind, rather than being reincarnated as some other entity, you know. So my feeling after reading Dolores Cannon is that for advanced minds, spiritually advanced minds, they can choose to come back as bodhisattvas and help other people. There is some danger, though, of accumulating karma, like Edgar Cayce, for example. In his readings, he said he was given the chance in one lifetime to not have to come back because he had become so illuminated, and he decided to come back to help people as what's called a bodhisattva, which is someone who does that. And in that lifetime, when he came back, he had, I don't know, he was in the desert. I don't know if he was in the war or something, but a whole bunch of people had left him there for dead. And they had, I don't know if I can't remember if they beat him up or whatever, but they left him for dead in the desert. And as he was dying, he had a lot of bad thoughts about those people. And he was very angry and enraged. So he accumulated all this karma and had to come back again. So this was what Edgar Cayce uncovered in his readings. So I've also heard that the karmic implications as we're going forward in this time of transformation are less important. However, I think there's an aspect to that in saying, oh, I want to have physical immortality in this body because I don't want to go through all that again and risk getting entrapped again in the separation and all of those things. So just, I'm kind of rambling on, but those are some of my thoughts about physical immortality and why it might be a good thing to have that, I don't know if it's actually a goal or if it's curiosity. I don't know what it might be. For me, it's not a goal, but for other people, it sounds like perhaps it is for Michael. I don't know, without him being here to talk about it.
And I think that taking care of the body, you know, there's so many people that, you know, they don't want to die, but they totally abuse the body that they have. And, you know, if you continue doing that, you can't live forever. But there's a part of my book, and I've talked about this before, where I had a breath session And I was a Native American girl, a young girl, and she went through all this abuse and everything. And then when I came out of the breath session, it was like, oh, did I just time warp back? Was that me? Do I believe in past lives? If you ask me, I would say no, but I think that it presents itself to us, whether it was a great great grandmother or whatever, somebody in the genetic line, and face the same issues that I faced in this lifetime. And, those things are carried. We talked yesterday a little bit about epigenetics, but those things are carried from generation to generation, just like the color of your eyes and the color of your skin and the color of your hair and everything. It gets passed. Well, those unresolved issues also get passed. And as I was writing, this book, I could see some of the things that my mom and my grandmother, and how they felt like they had to go it alone, and, had children there on their own, and their husbands had either died or were off to the war, or, whatever. And I can see how some of these patterns, but then going back to the Native American girl, it's like some of the things that happened to her happened to me in this lifetime. So, is it just something that carried through the genes and now it's finally landed on someone in the family that's willing to look at it and heal it, so the future generations don't have to look at it and deal with it? And
so I am going to, using Michael's term, offer a different perspective on the concept of past lives, because past lives is linked to our concept of time, that there's a past, present, and a future, when there really is only a now. So what if there are no past lives, there are only simultaneous lives? So one of the things that I learned from reading Dolores Cannon's work, from all the stuff that was channeled through her hypnosis sessions with people, is that we are fractals of the one. And as we come into a body, it's an illusion. And we can actually go, pieces of us, fractals of us, can also go into other bodies simultaneously within the same time frame. And what if all of these so-called past lives are actually simply other dimensions of us existing in other dimensions?
could be.
Simultaneously in the now, and that through those experiences, like you experienced, you're actually experiencing part of yourself in another portal, in another dimension. So there are no past lives or future lives. We are only existing in the now, in the present, and existing within different dimensions. So that's just some food for thought.
There is always a gift in the present, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were worrying about something that might happen. And I said, I totally understand that. I mean, because like when, it was this time last year that Ryan was found to have that brain tumor. And I mean, outwardly, I would put on the, be strong for them and all of this. But inside, I was falling apart. And it was like worrying about what if, and that what if never came around. So how much time did I spend, between November and January, spending energy worrying about something that didn't come about? I mean, it could have, but, we need to stay in the present all the time. And that's a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that present could be, so like I've had different past life readings and different past life hypnosis sessions and all of that. And some of them have overlapped in time. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how this kind of fractal of me existing in different dimensions and, putting myself into different bodies to experience different things could be a thing, and so that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm moving more and more towards less and less about the future and more towards now, and just what I'm doing now and in this moment is really all that matters, is what's happening right now in this moment.
Yeah. That's what we need to do for sure.
And when we look at the world like that, well, anyway, when I look at the world like that, I look around and I see that there's nothing really going on. That, as A Course in Miracles say, I'm giving everything all the meaning that it has for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking now at what's going on now, I'm not bringing in a lot of crap about what happened or my expectations of the future, because in every moment I can change that. I can change that future. I can even maybe change the past. I don't know, but I used to rely heavily on using past lives to help me understand what's going on in the present. And I think past lives are just like dreams that we have. They're portals to another dimension of illusion. And I'd be interested to hear what other people on this call have to think about that.
Anyone? Michael, you just joined us, and Kerry's talking about past lives. So I don't know if you're in a place where you can unmute.
I am. I have the ladies in the car.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
And my experience is that people who didn't believe in past lives in their last life don't believe in them in this one either.
So I think you didn't hear kind of what I was saying about past lives. That
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I think there are no past lives. I think there is no time. It's something that we have created in our minds here, and that what we think are past lives are actually fractals of ourselves that we have put into other dimensions where we're experiencing simultaneously in the now. So that when we have, like a dream, we think, oh yeah, a dream is an illusion. Well, so is this one, okay? This dream is illusion. And so we're creating it all the time. And it came out of a conversation we were having about immortality. And how I had said to you a while ago, immortality, Sandra Ray, when I was studying with her a long time ago, we had this conversation. And she's all about immortality in the physical body. And I remember you saying something about, she has a lot of attachment to the body. And I thought, yeah, but there's a reason for that, because I think if you have physical immortality, you also bring with you the mind that you have so that you can continue your learning and you don't have to kind of start almost all over again, in another
Right.
in another dimension, okay? In another dimension, okay, will I even know that A Course in Miracles exists in another lifetime? And I gave an example about a lifetime with Edgar Cayce, who had come back as a bodhisattva, and the way he had died in the desert after being tortured and left to die in the desert, and how coming into that life as a bodhisattva, at the end of his life when he died, he had all these bad thoughts about people, and he accumulated all this karma again, so he had to come back. But anyway, what I was really saying is, I think in terms of immortality, that we really have to just focus on now, because even if we use so-called past life readings or experiences like Jeanie had, or whatever it was, it's maybe just a portal to another dimension of who we are, because Dolores Cannon's work showed us that we are kind of fractals. We can exist even in this dimension in different bodies with different awarenesses. So we can, our spirit can fractal itself and be in many different dimensions at once. So why do we have to think, that physical immortality is an important thing or not an important thing? I don't know. I'd kind of like to know your thoughts about that in terms of all of those things that I just kind of briefly summarized.
Well, my first thought would be it's interesting how the mind can trick us, how the mind
Yes.
plays games with. There are a lot of people that are into physical immortality, and they haven't realized that the power of life and death is in their own words. And when you make a claim of immortal, what you're saying is, I'm mortal, I'm dead. That's what immortal means. To the brain. It's like saying, don't think about the color of your car. Immortal is mortal, mort is dead. I do believe that we're designed for eternal life. And that's the language that we want to be looking at. And then, of course, the Course in Miracles gives us a really good clue when it says, what is true in heaven and earth is beyond your naming. I think we're talking about, we maybe get a little peek into something here and there and there, and I'm with you 100% on, yeah, and we need to focus on, are we living as human beings now? If we are living as we're designed to live as the presence of love, then the rest of it's going to take care of itself.
Yes. And
But I'd like to change the conversation to eternal rather than immortal, because that's just another claim for being dead, and we need to watch our words.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm interested in that particularly yet. I don't know that I'm there. However, I'm happy to change my words. Those are the words that are used in everyday speech by everybody, and I think
Why everybody's dying.
Right, and I think this regulatory speech for me has started to become this thing that I'm paying more and more attention to, that I really never thought was very important, and now I'm seeing the importance of it in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, it's really key, big time. When you realize it's all vibration and energy, and our words are simply representations of our vibration. And if the vibration we use to claim we're going to be eternal, it talks about mortality, then we're now back to, the mind's tricked us back into mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think as energetic beings, we're not designed to die. We made the whole process of death up, and we can give it up. We can forgive it. And then, we're going to get orders from headquarters on what comes next.
I think also the term past lives confirms and reaffirms that mortality. Instead of, there is this eternal being that we are perhaps in these different dimensions that we've created, in these different illusionary dimensions, and we're having different experiences. And to talk about past and future lives is actually something that I'm moving away from, just talking about my life now, and it encapsulates perhaps all of those different dimensions within which I exist.
Right.
I think sometimes when people get really into, focusing on the past or the future or whatever, I think that could be a distraction to keep from looking at the now.
Avoidance. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have a friend who's a past life junkie, and and I said to her once, really the only reason for looking at your so-called past lives is to, see what lessons you need for now.
Right.
So we can even do that and say, I have this this energetic soul experience within another lifetime that is helping to teach me something. And I don't need to keep looking there. I feel like I don't need to keep looking there like I did in the past.
Yeah,
It's hard-
it's interesting. The people that are into being, excuse me, go ahead.
It's hard not to talk in terms of time. Go ahead.
Yeah, it definitely is a big trap in this dimension. And the people who are, as you say, past life junkies, you'll notice that they were Cleopatra or King Tut, or they were never a street sweeper. And there's
Oh,
always
I
some
was.
big dramatic thing, and I think that it's a distraction. You say you were a
Well,
street sweeper?
yeah, no, all of my readings, I have only one. I was I wasn't somebody important, but I had a good life. All the others, I was like, it was partly trauma. It was lots of trauma and poverty and despair. And I never have had a reading or an experience of being somebody famous or anything.
No.
Which is kind of disappointing on one level.
You're just so dull.
Well, I love the way Jeannie brought us to that personal story about recognizing how much she was in the past, or no, it was in the future, kind of planning scenarios for worst case possibilities with a diagnosis for a family member. And she just reeled herself in and said, you know, what time I've wasted being in that thought. My only point of power is now. And she was able to return to that. And I think that's the most important thing that I do with my mind energy. If I run scenarios, boy, do I. I grew up surviving on the basis of my ability to run scenarios, but I don't have to do that now. I can be now. I can be here. So I'm grateful for this conversation. Safe travels to your destination and looking forward to seeing you all.
Cool. Safe travels to you too. It's coming fast.
Tomorrow morning, I hit the road.
Ah, cool. Where are you driving from?
Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio area.
Cleveland. Oh yeah, the way up there in the Great Lakes.
Yes, I sail the Great Lakes.
An eerie place.
Well, the lake
May you
can be. I'm convinced the lake was named because it can change expressions in a heartbeat. And it's known as a real tricky body of water to sail. So I guess that's how it got that name, Erie.
Cool. Dusty, you had a
Dusty?
thought for it?
Oh, well, it's just great to hear an open conversation on these topics, and I'm just thrilled that it can happen without people yelling at each other and that sort of thing. Instead, people learning from each other. And I'd have to say that what you said, Michael, that little quote from the Course of Miracles, I like that a lot, and it reminds me that any of us have, in a sense, is a perspective. Period. It's a perspective. It's the way we see things, or the way we feel things, or the way we perceive our existence, and it's rather ephemeral and, in a sense, very limited, but it's the dance we're in right now. And so to come to present time and to do the best with it is, the best dance we can do, as it were, is a beautiful thing. And I keep hearing that being said. For what it's worth, anybody, I never even considered past lives. until I was, I don't know, I was about 13, and I was in my bedroom in Idaho, walking towards my ham radio set, and I'm going to tell you something I usually don't share, but it was as if, well, it was like just this powerful hand and forearm reached through the top of my head and just jerked me out. And it was, I didn't even have a say in it. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know anything. And it jerked me out. It was a gift, for sure. And it showed me several things. But the first thing it showed me was, and it was a direct knowing thing, it was a past life. Oh, that's me. And I recognized it. And I was shown other things, and I came back in, and of course I was a kid. I didn't know what to do with it. And I went on, and even into Atlanta, it was until I was 28. It was because I started remembering other things because of this, that I realized not everybody even believed in it, much less remembered. And so then I had to like really hold myself back on these things. And I will say that I've learned a lot from what I can remember, and I've looked at it as lessons and as gifts, and regardless, it still comes to present time, which I keep hearing. And as far as the future lives, I have no idea, except I think that Michael, we may share the same perspective that there is an eternalness. There is this soul, this spirit continues. I am that I am, as it were. And we just keep going. And if we don't buy too deeply into the cultural miasm and all that, we can do it the way that is endemic to our soul and our existence here. And I'm just glad to hear people talking about this. Thank you.
Cool. Sweet. That's powerful. Just yanked out of your body. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, it was, and it was a powerful hand. It was just about as close to omnipotence as you can get. You know, it was just, wow. I still kind of shudder if I try to remember that, when I remember that.
Right. Well, I know that over the years in working with people, I've had several times where people have had what appeared to them to be past life things come up. And I always suggest to people, well, treat it as your mind shows it to you. Not that it's necessarily true the way you're seeing it, because, of course, it might be the creative mind's way of making something possible to look at and deal with that otherwise the mind couldn't do. And it may be an actual memory. It really doesn't matter. What am I going to do with it here and now?
Yeah, exactly. And what are you going to do with all of it now? And
yeah.
if I try to live just in that life, for instance, I was shown then, which was the most direct knowing I think I've ever had in my life that it was true.
Right.
But it doesn't, how does that affect now? And what can I do with that now? And if I can't do anything with it, well, so what, you know? And but it's kind of, I guess we're all kind of on the same page, that pretty much that it's a perspective, it's the way you look at it, and you do the best with it, make the best dance right now that we can with any and every gift that we're given. And boy, I've been given so many gifts, and I am so grateful.
Joining you in that, my friend.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have about 4 minutes. Does anybody else have something we can assist you with, or Anything to add to the conversation?
Mike's at the back.
How about the ladies in the car?
Ladies in the car, I'm just listening to the conversation. It's yeah, I didn't get to, we had to run into the grocery store, so we didn't get all of it. But yeah, I can tell with the conversation, my sacred heart is pulsing like crazy. So I don't know what that means.
Awesome.
Feels, yeah, it's what we do with it now. I love what was said. It's, whether it's construct to help us to see something more deeply or whether it was an actual event. And I've had experience where, viscerally on the body, I know you have, Jeanie, where, you're in the experience. It's like you're actually there. I've felt that and I know I worked with Dr. Tim, took me to one that I swear I was right in this orphanage. It's definitely there. I don't know what that all means, but it was true for me. I trust whatever needs to be revealed was being shown. What's my journey now?
Well, certainly, and I assume I didn't hear the whole conversation because we came in late, but I assume that you shared what happened in that intensive in Florida back 20 years ago or so.
Right.
You look at how viscerally powerful that was and how it's come up over and over to create lessons and work you through some pretty heavy duty trauma zones. Again, is it factual memory? Could very well be. Is it my mind's way of showing me something I need to deal with always? And so take the tools and rock on, deal with it. Anyone else have a thought to share? We're down to about 1 minute. These ladies in the future will be able to picture me doing the radio show here out down the road. Yep. I've done it from swimming pools. I've done it from a boat in the lake. Yeah, it's a blessing.
Did you get, they're on, they still on? Did you get disconnected?
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're still there.
Yep.
I guess you would know better than I read. I'm like, oh my God, I don't see them. We must be off. See, that's my over responsibility. Michael, we gotta make sure.
So any other thoughts, Jeanie?
I don't see any other hands up, and no, I'm complete. So
All
You're
right.
gonna get a gigantic hug when I see you. Just be prepared. Might not let you
awesome.
go for a while.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see you.
All right, sweetie. Thanks for doing the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you, Susan Bingham, Sally, Kathy, Dusty, everybody. Kerry's already gone, so we'll see you tomorrow.
God blessings.
Bye.